Oh, the moon has come, the day is done, the night has covered up the sun. I have stood so often before you to pray, but I wonder, Allah, tell me, what did I do today? Did I remember the words of Al-Fatiha? Did I take time to thank you for all that I have? Did I call on you to guide my way? Tell me, what did I do today?
Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. And welcome back to another episode of Back to Basics. I'm your host, Abdul Azim Saeed, and we are fortunate enough to have back in the studio with us our special guest, Dr. Mamdouh Mohamed. Dr. Mamdouh, welcome.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have you with us. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Mamdouh Mohamed is a former professor at Johns Hopkins University, and he is currently the director of Arrow for Consultancy and Training. He has worked in several universities across the globe and has traveled extensively as far east as Indonesia and as far west as the United States of America, delivering lectures in the field of education and da'wah. Dr. Mamdouh, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's always nice to have you here. Today we'd like to discuss the issue of teachers and parents. It's a very broad issue, but we'd like to speak more specifically about their cooperation with each other, or unfortunately sometimes lack of. Do teachers and parents tend to speak the same language when it comes to the education of their children, the children?
I think this is something very beautiful. You open an issue that very, very few people talk about it. First of all, I would raise these questions to help the audience understand this concept. Try to imagine that few doctors are in the operation room and they are communicating with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be easy for them to communicate if they don't speak the same language? Of course not.
No.
Try to imagine that one of them asks for a specific machine, whereas the other nurses or other doctors in the operation room gives him another piece of tool.
Mm.
It would be something very miserable and disastrous.
Yes, it would be.
And the victim is quite obvious, would be the patient.
Yes.
If I ask this question, do doctors speak the same language? Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Do engineers speak the same language? They say, yes, they do. Do dentists speak the same language? Yes, they do. Do educators speak the same language? No.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
And not even talking specifically about parents and teachers, even if you
No,
goes,
not even before.
does the administration and the teachers,
Yes.
do the Ministry of Educations and the teachers and the parents and so on. Everybody's speaking their own language, it
You're
seems.
right. If we speak about differentiations, do all teachers understand what we mean by differentiation?
No, I don't think they do.
No, they don't. In other words, there's some problems in the way they communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand each other. When I talk about any issue in education, particularly the specialized ones,
Mm-hmm.
you will find that teachers are not communicating well.
Yeah.
Some of them take the superficial meaning, some of them take the expert meaning, some of them, they are not communicating very well, and you can expect the result is not always consistent.
By not communicating well, do you mean that they're still trying to work together, but they're failing at communicating their different needs?
Yes,
What about those who don't even work together at all?
Again, we need to bring them to work together to know. Each one should know what's going on in other classes.
Mm-hmm.
But at least the basic communication, when we say that curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
do all teachers in the world understand the word curriculum as we understand it? Most of them now, they think that curriculum is an equivalent of textbooks,
Yeah.
which is totally something different. Perhaps 15% of it is a textbook and the rest is not a textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Yet still some people go with curricula as a textbook.
Yeah.
We tell the teacher curriculum includes this and this and this and this and all the activities and the tasks and the trips and the videos and that you show in the classroom. They say, oh, no. So curriculum is more comprehensive than textbook. But not all the teachers know that. Now, if we move the question to that question, do parents speak the same language of the teachers?
Do they even speak to the teachers?
Or even do they speak to the teacher? Of course they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't speak the same language, when a teacher gives an assignment to the students to write them at home, and the parents don't understand, the students don't find some sort of help and support to them at home. It is a must for all of us. Number one, to let the teachers speak the same language that the leadership of their school speak. Secondly, is that the parents should speak the same language that the teachers speak.
Yeah.
It's a long way, it takes a long time, but the benefits are and the profits are guaranteed, and they're very essential. To the level that we need to take this one level ahead and say, do students speak the same language? If they don't understand what the teachers say and what the parents say. We need to unify the language that we speak so we can be understood as teachers, we can be understood at home by both parents and students. If this happens, definitely the outcome would be amazing, and that's what we are looking for.
So it's almost always coming back to the same thing, essentially, is that for education to be successful, different groups or different people that are involved in the education process, whether it's at the level of the students, the teachers, they have to work together.
Yes.
Okay.
And the owners of the school.
And the owners of the school, the managers of the school, the Ministry of Education, the government, everyone has to play a role in supporting one vision, which is the betterment of the students. And I think that's a vision that we can all stand behind. It's not something that anybody should have a real difference in. Absolutely. Okay, so what happens now, we have PTAs, we have parent-teacher meetings, and often enough this equates to, how's my son doing, or how's my daughter doing? Okay, great, so, okay. And it's just basic. It's not, how can I help to improve them at home? What can I do to help you in the classroom?
Yes.
I find a lot of parents are not necessarily looking at how they can help in the process, especially parents of students I've mentioned before who are in private schools. They say, okay, well, my child's in a private school, I pay a fortune to put them there, I shouldn't have to worry.
Yeah. And because
is this a correct understanding?
Yeah, this is correct understanding.
No, is this a proper...
Oh, no.
Okay,
oh, no. And because of their passivity, they are passive in the education of their children, the outcomes are not good. For the outcomes to be good, parents have to play an active role in that. They have to communicate, they have to suggest, they have to receive the message from the teachers in a proper manner and act upon it accordingly.
Well, especially when it comes to issues, we talked about issues of discipline, how to discipline your children.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the earlier episodes that we had. Parents who do not discipline their children to respect authority. In fact, in a lot of private schools, you find the children are almost arrogant at their teachers because they feel like the teacher is their employee because their parents pay the salary. So for parents not to instill in their children a respect of authority, especially a respect of those who are teaching them and educating them, how on earth can a teacher overcome this without the help of the parents? Is the answer that they can't?
Your comments and questions tell me that you are a good teacher.
I hope so.
Anyway, you're raising a very good point. Discipline starts at home. It does not start at school.
No.
And if you miss these golden opportunities from age infant until 3 years old, until the student is sent to a nursery or a KG or primary school, it becomes a little bit difficult. We are making it hard for the teachers to do the job by themselves. This should begin at home. And parents, we don't expect every parent to know this without being educated. And this is why I think in one of the episodes I suggested that for a person to marry a woman now, it's not enough to do all the Islamic things, but now we need to add this new dimension is, are the parents qualified to discipline their children properly, or they still want to experiment with that. They would use the old methods of their parents in disciplining their children.
Okay, so you're saying when somebody's looking for a spouse, whether it's a man looking for a woman or a woman's
that's what I mean.
agreeing to marry a man, they should look at the other person's not qualifications, but
I would say qualifications.
Okay, qualifications in raising children as well.
Are they qualified to discipline the children?
Properly, yeah.
Yeah, properly. Because everybody claims that he does or she does, and all what they know about discipline is
hitting and screaming.
Hitting, yeah, which is not proper at all.
Or screaming.
Or screaming, yes. Or yelling at their children, yeah. Or being very upset at something like this. We need to study this in order to raise the level of the whole country.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to give some specialized workshops for parents in areas like discipline, because they will use it all their lifetime.
Okay, we're going to stop right on that point. We're going to get right back to it, inshallah, but right after the break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قالوا أجئتنا لتأفكنا عن آلهتنا فأتنا بما تعدنا إن كنت من الصادقين
له ملك السماوات والأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور
فلما رأوه عارضا مستقبل أوديتهم قالوا هذا عارض ممطرنا بل هو ما استعجلتم به.
أخا عاد إذ أنذر قومه بالأحقاف وقد خلت النذر من بين يديه ومن خلفه ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم عظيم
فيهما عينان نضاختان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان
بلاغ فهل يهلك إلا القوم الفاسقون
Sent from Allah to an angel then to man. That man was Muhammad, the best of creation.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and welcome back to the show, Back to Basics. Dr. Mamdouh Mohamed and I, we were just discussing before the break the issue of disciplining children relative to parents and teachers working together. Sometimes we find that teachers are taking on too many responsibilities beyond teaching the children, differentiating between the different types of children, the different needs that they have, and they're almost playing the role of guardian. They have to take care of the child's needs at the most basic level of almost raising them in their classroom, sometimes as late as grade 10, grade 11. So, and this is really the responsibility of the parents from early on. So how can a teacher, I guess, relate this opinion or relate this idea to a parent in the sense that the parent feels the need and responsibility to help them understand their child better?
Again, you're getting to a very sensitive area. And I'd like to say that in some communities and some cultures, teachers have already known their job. They know that before they marry, they should have some sort of background of how to discipline their children. And this should be consistent with the policy of the school and the regulation of the school regarding being consistent in disciplining their students. So if this go well, very well, even each parent should have a copy of discipline that's used at school so that they would be consistent.
So that they
For
can work in
example,
coordination with each other.
And this will never happen without raising the awareness of parents of their role, that the issue of discipline starts at home. Starts when the child, an infant, is looking for breastfeeding or getting his or her meal.
Yeah.
We can discipline them to teach them how that it should be consistent after 2.5 hours or 3 hours, as doctors suggest. So they should go hand in hand. And that's why the beginning of this episode we talked about do parents speak the same language of the teachers? And the answer was no. And as long as it is no, our expectations will not be very high.
Okay.
Because we are talking about a level of expectation from the parents that are much lower than the levels of expectations of the teachers. We need to make the level of expectation match each other.
What expectation are you referring to?
I'm talking here, for example, I expect the child when he comes to school, he knows that the concept of time out. Because this should be taught to the child when he is at home. 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, he should have gone through many experiences of time out. So when he reaches the school, the parents would relate this to the teachers. We used to do this. So there should be common background. This common background cannot be achieved without education.
And they should
so
also
we
know
should
basic
educate
etiquette.
the parents while we are educating their children.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why if parents did not do this before marriage, it can be a good job if schools would pay attention to the parents when they do PTA meetings, or
maybe PTA meetings should turn into training sessions for the parents.
Yes, some of them, or some on-the-side workshops for the parents to teach them about differentiation, to teach them about discipline, to teach them about most of the problems that happen in school because of discipline. One child can disrupt the learning of the whole class.
Yeah.
And which is very negative consequences, something that nobody wants to talk about.
And schools should also have policies. I noticed that with private schools it's not so much, but schools should also have policies with how much they're willing to tolerate from troublemaking students, because if a student is not well disciplined, it is not the school's responsibility to go out of their way to discipline a child in ways that they can't provide for them.
I think it's part of the policy of most schools to write this on the walls of each class, and it is part of the job to supervise or to implement this with the cooperation of the school administration and the school leadership, with the cooperation of parents at home. By cooperating together, it makes the job easier on the teacher rather than if the teacher does everything by himself.
What I'm referring to is that if a student, for example, is consistently out of line and is causing a bad influence on the other students,
there are some
then
ways.
there's situations of suspension and eventually even expulsion.
Yes, this is part of.
Oh.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you do find some schools, they don't follow through on this because for one reason or another, especially private schools sometimes, they view it as this is the customer. The customer is always right.
Not in this case.
No, not in this case.
Not in this case. Because part of the job of the school is to discipline the children. And the school knows that whenever discipline is applied in the class, in the school, this gives their school high rating. And all schools aspire for that. They die for this to have good ratings. Part of the good rating is this. So when we evaluate...
When you mention rating, you're talking about schools that are supervised and analyzed and so on.
Because part of the grade of an inspection is about discipline. If the school does not have a good system of discipline, their grade goes from outstanding to good.
What if the schools are not inspected, though?
This is their problem. They need to go a long way in order to catch up. And each school wants to be on the top. Like this is the nature of human beings. When you compete with others, you want always to be on the top. If you don't compete, if you have low expectations, low aspirations, you want to live with the dead. So it's your choice.
Okay. So overall, from what I've gathered from you today, is that you believe that the majority of teachers and parents don't speak the same language.
They don't.
In most countries or in some countries?
I haven't seen all the countries, but
in most cases you've seen
in
if
most
that's the case.
cases we don't educators in comparison with other professions like doctors and engineers, they don't speak the same language. We need to unify the language. We need to work collaboratively in order to guarantee that we speak the same language as doctors do.
Would you say that this is prominently a problem in private schools or public schools as well?
In fact, it's more common in public schools than private schools.
Okay.
Most private schools, because they have money and they try to offer better education, and that's why they do usually whatever is needed to be done.
Talking about, keep in mind, I'm talking about the main subject, which is the parents and the teachers, not just the educators. In public schools, we'll say that maybe the educators
the teachers
don't
are the
coordinate
educators.
As well. So you're saying in public schools, then parents do communicate better with teachers on average?
No.
Okay, so then the problem is across the board, public and private.
Across the board, but in private school, the situation is always better.
Okay.
Yes, because parents, when they invest the money,
they invest their time a bit more.
They invest some time with it.
Okay.
But we want them to invest more time.
Okay. We don't want them to just throw money at the problem.
Not throw
and think it's going to fix it. Okay. So as usual, we like to discuss the issues and the problems that may exist and the possible solutions. So one of the solutions we suggested was that parents themselves can be given workshops if they're up for it.
Even before they become parents.
Even before they become parents, yes, that's very good.
And this goes even before that. And that's why the Islamic approach is very unique in that. A lot of people now go to the university, and after they graduate from the university, they found the jobs that they are, according to their specializations, are not good for their own life.
Okay.
Housekeeping now, you can get certificates in that. And part of it is disciplining the children. If a wife does not know that, who's going to do the job?
Yeah.
And that's why the number of delinquent students, kids, is getting more and more and more. The number of divorces is getting more and more and more.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons.
People are going into marriage.
Girls, when they go to colleges and universities, they don't get proper education that helps them would do a better job when they marry. We as a society should direct and should guide the new generations about this issue, the selection of the college. Most of the people, they don't have selection. In fact, their grades decide that job.
Yeah.
And the coordination office.
So if they get high grades, okay, they'll be a doctor, even if they don't specifically like that field.
I mean, it's not right. Some people are not interested in that. And
but they go
studying
they go
medicine
into it
is
for
very
reason.
tough for them for such a long time, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there may be something better for them. I know some people in my extended family, they study, art and drawing. And for 4 years, for 5 years, this something may be good for people in the society, but not everybody should be an artist.
No.
They have something more important than this at home. They have the issue of raising their children properly.
Yeah.
And part of this raising is disciplining. But if they don't know, they didn't take any course about that.
Yeah.
It can be a must for every...
I find it interesting that schools tend to offer, especially in Western nations, they tend to offer classes that are obligatory when it comes to issues of biology and things like that. But they don't tend to offer parenting classes that are obligatory.
Parenting classes,
which is interesting.
Class, yeah.
They'll offer courses about
marriage classes. I think
they don't have this.
Marriage should have. I was one time suggesting that every person who applies for marriage,
should have to pass a course.
For marriage, should have a course. And she should have a course. And this is the compatibility. We want to teach each one of them their rights and their duties.
Well, if we look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he mentioned that to the youth, those of you who can marry should marry.
Yeah.
The key word that some of the scholars focus on is can. It's not just a financial capability. It's that you're mentally, you're physically, you're ready for marriage, basically.
And the compatibility in Islam.
Yeah.
Compatibility includes the education. If he is qualified in being a father and she is qualified in being a mother, that means they are compatible in this aspect. We do invite people to take this matter seriously. Some time in the life of a human being, man or a woman, they should take some courses in parenting and in marriage to qualify them for it. I'm quite sure in countries where they do this directly or indirectly, they take formal education or non-formal education about parenting and about marriage, they have successful homes than others. And we
And
aspire,
lower divorce rates and so on.
yes, yes. And this would help the parents to communicate with teachers, and they would be able to speak the same language, something that began with in this lecture.
Yeah,
We want
exactly.
them to speak the same language
Yeah, and that language is for the betterment, in the end, of their children.
of their children.
So,
Yeah.
with that, inshallah, we'd like to just finish the episode. But if you have any closing statement that you'd like to make.
I wish that ministers of education and university rectors would consider this. I would say in high school, in one grade, grade 11 or grade 12, we should offer this course. We can call it pre-marriage course. We can call it, parenting course, or we can make them two separate courses. And in college as well, we should offer it. So engineers and doctors would know something about this.
I would even go as far as say as it should be a mandatory course, because at one point
Absolutely.
almost everyone's going to
I
have
wish
children.
it should be like this.
Yeah.
But this comes and if just making some studies, and they are available on the internet, comparing those students who had some backgrounds about marriage and about parenting before they marry, the divorce rate among them is much, much, much lower than those who did not have opportunity to study about marriage and to study about parenting when they married.
We ask Allah to give us success, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen.
Jazakallah khair as usual
Barakallah
for coming
feek.
to the program. And we thank you, the viewers, as well. And until next time, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, the moon has come, the day is done, the night has covered up the sun. I have stood so often before you to pray, but I wonder, Allah, tell me, what did I do today? Did I remember the words of Al-Fatiha? Did I take time to thank you for all that I have? Did I call on you to guide my way? Tell me, what did I do today? I have whispered to you as I made ruku, Subhana Rabbi Aladi. But was my faith bright or grey? Oh Allah, tell me, what did I